groups. Obviously, you can say who the guest is because we have it.
Sure.
Man, not doing these pop-up shows, kind of weird. I feel like it takes forever to talk with you guys again, like a week later. I'm liking the no pop-up shows because we're about to be doing a show on Thursdays anyway. I would think to preview the game, but we did pop-up shows the first 3 weeks, and I'm like, man, I never talk with my friends anymore.
About to get busy here pretty soon, so
man, it is about to pick up. We have just as we get started and stuff. Give me just a sec, but we have my daughter's birthday this weekend, birthday party this weekend. I feel like this has been like the month-long birthday. I guess when they're little kids and stuff, that's just what happens. But so I'm not even like taking weekends off. Like we're just doing stuff with the family and stuff. So maybe one day we'll slow down.
Should be good.
All right, cool. I am ready to get started if you guys are.
let's roll.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another edition of Double Fries No Slaw. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us today. As always, myself, TJ Pittenger, buddy Richie Barnes, the super host now, and 2013 national champion Freddie Stevenson. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Doing well.
Man, we are 13 days away from the season. We are officially inside 2 weeks. I'm excited. Let's roll.
Yeah, coming quickly. I make a joke about it every week, but it's fun to have a national champion on here weekly. It's also a lot of fun when you bring on another national champion. Not our first time doing this, but in the 5th episode that we've had scheduled, this is now another national champion we're going to bring on. Let's just jump right into it. Before we do that, I do want to make sure that you remember Double Fries No Slaw is brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. Both of their locations are open and available even during these times at 2550 North Monroe Street and 1818 West Tennessee Street. Make sure to order your food, your gut box Double Fries No Slaw, and tell them that we sent you. Let's jump right into it, guys. Man, we have I'll add him right here to the stream. The first ever Heisman winner at Florida State, 1993 national champion. There's some debate. I know that everybody has their favorite Heisman quarterback, but a lot of people consider the greatest quarterback to ever play in the Garnet and Gold. And then went on and had a successful NBA career as well. Charlie Ward, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing just fine, sirs. How you guys doing?
Doing good, Charlie. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Sir, we're glad we got a legend here. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, don't start with that.
No, we'll jump right into it, but it seems to be the way I've started every interview now. Do you have any kind of relationship with Guthrie's? Have you ever had a gut box? Have you ever eaten there? Tell me about it, man. The most important questions first.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't. eating at Guthrie's, but I've been by it quite a few times, and
Oh,
I've
man.
heard great things about it. Unfortunately, I didn't eat much chicken, but sounds like double fries, no slaw. But
That's right.
how does that work?
Well, most players.
Because
Are you a?
I'm a vegan right now, so I'm definitely not eating chicken. But
Yeah.
in college, we were on a budget, but I guess Guthrie's was one of the places that college students visited because there are a lot of people who are eating there. So I heard great things about it, but unfortunately, I don't eat chicken.
Well, you don't have to eat the chicken. You can always go in and get your order double fried.
Yeah. I think the fries, I mean, depending on, they'll probably just put them in peanut oil, right? Like, I think that you could get away with just an order of double fries. Just, you could still leave the coleslaw on the side. So that's how we came up with the name for this, because nobody orders the coleslaw, right? Like, if you're a college kid, you're not worried about the vegetable, like and there's no upcharge for the extra fries. So you just throw the coleslaw away, double my fries. And that's how we came up with this. So go get you an order of double fries and tell them it's on me. So we'll jump into it, man. So Florida State, Richie was just talking about, starts in 13 days, opens with Georgia Tech, has a bye week, and then jumps right into Miami this year. Really, I mean, just kind of a crazy offseason from some things that have happened off the field. To obviously a global pandemic right now. What are your expectations for Florida State? First year coach, coming out of two of the roughest seasons we've had in a lot. I mean, since well before your time. What are your expectations here for Florida State this year?
Well, we definitely, I'm grateful that we have Coach Norvell here. For one main reason is everyone, is on board with him being here. And so that's very important for any establishment to be able to have full support from at least the people who are making the decisions. And of course, when that's all, in line, they will market the program and the things that he's doing to the best of their ability for everyone else to join. And so I think that's just important. Of course, he's a great coach. He's done well at Memphis. He's been successful at the places he's been before, Arizona State, I think it was. And so, we're looking forward to just him getting his hands on the program, which he's done a great job of. Of course, we had the incident with Marvin Wilson and all the negative things that's been trying to come out, but he's done a great job of, rounding up the troops and communicating and getting things all on the same page. And, one thing that we've had great athletes, but with all the negativity surrounding the program, it really doesn't matter. And, the other thing about Coach Norvell is he's brought some stability to the program, even in a short time. With the coaches that he's brought on board, they've all had he's had some form of a relationship with them before he got here, except for maybe three guys. The two guys that were currently on staff, they're former or they're FSU alumnus, and then Coach JP. I think he came from North Carolina, which he was someone that was recommended to Coach Norvell. But I just think overall, the program is in a very good place. The guys have bought into what he's been selling, and the discipline has been on point. Just guys sacrificing for the betterment of the team. That's one of the things he's been harping on. And I just think overall we're in a good place right now. Now, I don't know how many games we'll win, but I just do know that we're heading in the right direction. And a lot of things that he's implemented will definitely carry over because a lot of team building took a day off. They took a trip to do a team building activity. And so I just think he has a lot of great things that he's working to do to help bring the family atmosphere trusting one another. All those things go a long ways into winning.
Have you? Go ahead, Freddie.
What would be your advice for these guys that have dealt with two different coaches in the past 3 years, and now they have a new coach? What would be your advice for those guys that may have trust issues and they already had issues with these past coaches, and now they have to adapt to a new coach? What would be your advice for these guys?
Well, every coach is different,
Mhm.
and you have to treat them that way. We were blessed to be able to have just one coach, a head coach anyway. And I know for me, there was no major change my 5 years in college when it came to coaching. The only change was Coach Rick came my second year. Coach Darryl Dickey was there my true freshman year. And so that was really the only change within the staff. And so I can only imagine how tough it can be when you have multiple coaches, head coaches coming in, and then the negativity around the program, and then losing on top of that. That's just a lot. But one of the things I do think Coach Norvell has done is he's gotten the attention of the majority, the leaders. It was very important for Marvin Wilson and Tamron Terry, Corey Durton, J-Rob, all the guys who decided to come back for their senior years. That was very important for him because it gave him that leadership that he needed to be able to, implement the things that he wanted. And I know for myself, when I got to Florida State, we had a bunch of seniors, upperclassmen that taught us how to win and what it was going to take. And so I just think it's important, even though the guys who are seniors really haven't had the success that they've wanted. That was one of the things Marvin mentioned was he wanted to come back to get Florida State back to the prominence that it was at one point. And so that was his main focus and goal, and he's bought in from the jump. And so I just think it's important for all those guys who've had different coaches. They've given Coach Norvell his time to be able to implement the things that he wanted, and he's been consistent. And so they called, of course, I didn't like the way they called him out, but they called him out on one thing, and he addressed it. He didn't shy away from it, and I just think that's great leadership. And now everyone's on board, and the guys who aren't on board, they're not there anymore, whatever the case may be. And then, those that have spoken out about certain things, they've handled it the way you're supposed to. And so I think when it's all said and done, guys are going to jump on board because he's been consistent in his message, and the discipline, the team, the family, all those things are very, very important to him, and that's the way he's living his life. That's the way the coaches are living, and so I just think it's something that we all have to, give them a chance. It may not be. They may not go according to plan early on, which I hope. But if it doesn't, we still have to support them.
Now, Charlie, you kind of mentioned that just you're really close to the program, so you have a front row view, so to speak, of what's going on. And you mentioned the Marvin Wilson thing and how Coach did a really good job of taking ownership of that. And it seems like he's earning the trust. We had the Warren Thompson situation a few weeks ago, which we've discussed on here. But after that, I think what was more telling, and you touched on some of these leaders, Asante Samuel, Jaden Lars Woodby, Marvin Wilson, came out quickly to defend Coach Norvell. So it's something we're seeing. And then this week, Isaiah Bolden made the switch from defensive back to wide receiver. I was listening to him in his press conference after practice, and he had nothing but positive things to say. Said he trusts Coach Norvell in everything he does, and he just wants, to do whatever it's best to win this program. So how difficult has that been for him doing this, through a pandemic on Zoom and just now getting the chance to do it? And are you seeing the team come together, like as we would expect, or is it ahead of schedule, or where do you think we are right now?
Well, I think we're in a great place. For one, we have great athletes that are coachable, and that's the thing that whenever I'll talk to Coach Norvell or text him, he just says that he likes coaching these guys. That's just his statement. And, that's one of the things I know for myself, coaching high school basketball here in Tallahassee at Florida High, I have a great group of guys. Have a lot of talent on the roster, but they're just great kids as well. And that's just a joy to coach. You're going to have your outliers, but when you start establishing great leadership on a football team or a basketball team or any team, the more leaders you have, more positive leaders you have, those outliers will either conform to what you're doing or they'll jump off ship at some point in time. And I just think, he's done a great job of just being consistent in his message, and living those characteristics and things that he's preaching to the young men. And so, yes, he's done an amazing job, especially with only 3 practices in the spring. And then over the course of the pandemic, the Zoom calls and, all the different things he's working to try to do with the parents, getting them information and on board. I just think overall, we're heading in the right direction. Of course, there's always things that you can get better at. But when it's all said and done, I think he's done an awesome job of just being himself, because I think that's who he is. That's how Memphis was so good during his tenure. He recruited well, he treated the players well, and they were successful. And of course, the people there supported him. And so hopefully we can continue to do that here, support him through the good times, the bad times. But I just think the players, as we've seen, he communicates well with them. Even if he slips up and messes up on some things, he works to try to communicate. And as we know, especially if you're married or in any form of relationship, when there's miscommunication, there's chaos. And when there's communication, everyone's on the same page and everyone's moving forward. And so you have some organization, some order. And so I just think he's done that. And I just think he's doing a great job, not just with the players, but with the coaches as well. When you think about Odell Higgins, who's been there a long time, when I asked Odell about Coach Norvell and he first got here, he's like, man, you're going to love this guy. And he's going to lead us to, the promised land in a sense. And so with Odell, because everyone wanted Odell, including myself, I thought he should have been the head coach. But everyone wanted Odell. But Odell was like, man, this guy is the guy that I believe can lead us to to take us to the next level. And so I trust Odell because he's been around for quite some time and he's seen Coach Bowden, and he feels like this is one of the strengths. One of the things that he sees in what he saw in Coach Bowden, he sees that also in Coach Norvell, some of the things.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. We've had a couple national analysts on here talking with us in the shows in the past, and it's a consistent message. Is that it seems to be a well thought of as a really good hire, as a good leader. And you've touched a few times on the senior leadership and the importance in a program right now. I know last week Warwick Dunn went and spoke to the team, and Florida State social media released a few clips. And one of the clips, he talked about how he came in as a freshman and there was a senior leader that he really looked up to named Charlie Ward, speaking of you, obviously. So I was wondering, have you had a chance to talk to any of the players since Warwick Dunn spoke to the team? Because I know you've been around the players, and now for them to hear it from a guy like Warwick Dunn, who also won a national title and did it at the next level, saying, hey, I really benefited from having a senior leader like Charlie Ward, to where now, Charlie, you can go to a Tamarian Terry and Marvin Wilson and say, these young guys, they need you because they're still here even when you guys leave next year.
I haven't talked to any players outside of my son's on the team, but I really hadn't talked to him. I just only heard what he shared, and he was saying that he gassed me up, whatever that means.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. But I just think it's important, that I'm not a big believer in the rookie freshman initiation, all that kind of carrying on. I think there are other ways that we can initiate. That's by leading them in the right direction. as opposed to, beating up on them and having them do crazy things. I think there are some things that young guys should do just to, earn their keep. But, the other things as far as initiation and all that, I'm not for. But I do believe that as seniors, we have to, if we're going to be successful, and this is in any business, a lot of times, even in the pros, when you're a veteran, you want to be able to teach the younger players that's coming in how to, show them the ropes. And so I know as a senior, I was afforded opportunity to have work as my roommate as a true freshman. Doug Williams asked me to have a work or take work in and take care of him. And so, and Doug is one of my heroes. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. I didn't have a roommate at the time, and he needed someone that could show him the ropes and help him through this tough time with his mom, getting killed and those types of things. And I think I was just the right guy for him, someone that was going to listen to him, because I talked some, but I didn't talk a lot. But we were good for one another. He saw me going through my senior year, the Heisman run and the championship run and all the media and all the fanfare and all the different things and how I was able to handle all of that. He saw all of that. And so sometimes it's about, being a leader, being an example, as opposed to talking all the time. And so there are some guys who talk a lot. We're good information, but sometimes you have to lead by example. And he saw, a lot of different things, and it helped him along the way, as he continued to progress as a football player, and also as what he's doing today, helping single moms with, with their homes. And so I just think it's important, because as a rookie, my rookie year in the NBA, I had a couple of mentors. Derek Harper, longtime veteran. We were playing the same position. He taught me everything that I knew about being a professional and, a lot about the game, because I practiced against him every single day. And of course we had the initiation on it, but he didn't really, he didn't care about that. He was more so interested in me developing as a person and also as a basketball player. And having veteran leadership, a guy that's been doing it for quite some time, it can definitely help curve your, make it curve as far as playing quicker. And so I just think that's important, to be able to have great leadership, guys that's done it before. And when you have that, that's when your teams are very successful.
Earlier this week, I saw in the press conference, Coach Norvell, he was talking about the standard that we have to play at Florida State, and how he's going to demand that out of each and every player, even if it's someone that played a lot of games in the past. If they're not playing at the FSU standard, then they won't play going forward in the future. And it's kind of a wake-up call for a lot of guys that have played in the past. You may think that you're all-world, all-American, but even it will be some film I look back at in the past. I thought I had a great game. Then we get in the film room, coach is like, man, that this game was trash. You could have did a lot better than that. And I think that's important that Coach Norvell is setting that standard early on for guys, because going forward, we're going to need that. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, that's the standard we were raised on. Of course, there was everything was tied to a consequence, a miss meeting. You had stadium steps, missed assignments. You had to do that, whatever it missed was. You had to run a gasser or, run that play or whatever, time and time again, a certain amount of time. So everything that we did had consequences. And one of the things I've learned over the course of my years of playing and coaching through a lot of different coaches is you have to hold that same standard to your best players. Because most times the best players, they always feel like they can get away with doing certain things. When there's not discipline, they can get away with certain things because the coach feels like they can only win with that guy. And so I just think it's important that everyone gets held to the same standard. I know when we played, no matter what we were doing, we had the same standard across the board. An interception was 10 stadium steps. I don't care if you were All-American, preseason All-American, it didn't matter. You had to run 10 stadium steps if you threw an interception. And so I just think that when you have those type of standards, regardless of who it is, everyone kind of falls in line. And when you don't see that favoritism to the best players, then everyone behind them know that, man, I better get in shape or get in line as well, because if he's treating him and talking to him and holding him to this standard, then I know he's going to treat me. And so I just think it's important that you do that with your best players and not allow them to get away with certain things that, a guy who may be second or third string. I just think you have to treat everyone the same, hold them to that same standard, and you'll get the best out of your best players when you hold them to that standard. That's for sure.
Without a doubt.
So taking it back to some of your playing days, which always fascinates me, and really have fascinated a lot of people enough to, I guess, vote for you to win the Heisman. But taking it back to that season in '93, number one all year, going to Notre Dame and drop the game to Notre Dame, then obviously win out and they lose the last week of the season to ensure that we could go to the title game. Where, I don't know if you've ever been asked this before, if you talked about it or not, where were you? Were you watching that Notre Dame loss that ended up putting us back up into the title, or how did you find out about it? Were you with other teammates, or do you remember anything kind of around that?
It's on video. We were getting ready to play North Carolina State that night. We had a night game. I think it might have been 7 o'clock, and Notre Dame was playing Boston College. And we were at Burt Reynolds at that time. And we were preparing to go down to the field house, to Moore field house. And right before it was time for us to go, there was someone that said, man, Boston College is lining up to kick the game-winning field goal. And so everyone stopped, heading down, and we all went back into our rooms or went into someone's room to watch the last kick. And when the kick went through, it was like we had just won a national championship. Everyone came out of the rooms hooping and hollering, and excited, hugging. And one of the things my dad said, because my dad was in the room as well with us, one of the things he was saying, man, y'all got a game to play tonight. If you go and sling it up tonight against North Carolina State, this game that you probably just got back will all be for naught. And so we went out, and our motto was someone had to pay, especially when we lost. Someone had to pay. Freddie, they didn't have that issue because they didn't lose. But but I just think we went out, took care of business, won that game 62-3. We dominated, from the jump. And then we had one big game left, which was down in the swamp against the University of Florida. And they had a streak going. They had 23 home game winning streak on the line, and we were coming in. And we pretty much controlled the entire game except for the fourth quarter. They made a couple touchdowns late to make it interesting. And then just like any good team, you have to step up. Guys have to step up and make plays. We were fortunate to be able to step up on 3rd and 10, which they had all the momentum. And that was one of the loudest places I'd ever been. The ground was shaking. We couldn't hear ourselves. But on 3rd and 10, when I was able to make a play, get out of the pocket, and I hit Ward on the run, and Tamar Vanover got a little chip block, and Ward, of course, took it for 70+ yards. We went from the loudest to the quietest stadium I'd ever heard outside of our fans. You could hear our fans at that time, and that shut the door on them, and it opened the door for us to play in the national championship against, we didn't know at the time, but Nebraska.
Ended up coming back in that Nebraska game too, and driving us down for Bentley's winner. Thank the Lord they hooked the heck out of their kick at the end, and we obviously had the better kicker there. What was the? I mean, I know you're at that point you're an all-world athlete. You're playing in 2 sports. You're winning the Heisman. But what was the confidence level down late in that Nebraska game? They'd held our offense before the kick. What we only had 15 points. So what was the confidence level? Very similar situation to how Freddie's team did it, down late, had to go score and did it. What was the confidence level going into that drive, that final one there?
Well, I mean, we struggled offensively all game. Defensively, helped us stay in the game, and they had done that all year. They had been stout all season, and all the season prepared us for that moment. People think when you win games, big like we did, 57-0. 42-0, whatever it was against Kansas. The first 4 games, I think our defense outscored, the opponent's offense. And so all those games prepared us for that moment that you're talking about, the last drive. And of course, the last drive was very similar to the Notre Dame game, the last drive. We had to drive the football down the field with a certain amount of time, and that game didn't end up well for us because it was a 7-point difference and end up getting an incompletion at the end. But we were able to do the same thing against Nebraska. When you have confidence in knowing what you're capable of doing, good offenses, good defenses, they can get a stop or they can put a drive together when you've done it before. And so we had the confidence to know that we can go out again and make plays when we needed it. Whenever you have a solid team, you got to have guys step up and make plays when you need it. And so we were blessed to be able to do that. Two, I think, Ward got 2 catches. I think Knox got a great catch. We got a 4th and 1 on that drive. We were able to get a 34 belly. Freddie. So we were able to get a 4th and 1 on that drive to keep the drive alive. And then we got a pass interference on Kez to put us a little bit closer to be able to kick the field goal. And we were able to make the field goal. All game we had driven the football down the field. We just couldn't score, except for that one time. And we were able to get field goals out of it. And so in any game, especially competitive championship type games, you need to score when you get in the red zone. We weren't able to do that. But if you're not scoring, you need your defense to be able to hold up. And they were able to hold up throughout the game and gave us a chance at the end. And yes, we had a little scare at the end of the game, but it was definitely out of his range. And we put pressure on him. Clifford Abraham came around the corner and put a lot of pressure on him to make him, go a little faster than he wanted to. And we were fortunate for him to hook it left. But, in a championship game, you need breaks. I know Freddie knows, about that. You need breaks and you need guys to step up and make plays.
Scott was on the Sports Illustrated earlier that year. Kind of unheard of, right, for a kicker to be on the Sports Illustrated cover, and then he's the one that takes the field to basically win it, right? Coach Bolden had gotten so close so many times, and in his first title goes out there and wins it. Was there ever a doubt that he was going to make the kick? I mean, what was the, I don't know if you remember kind of what the huddle up there looked like, but was everyone on the side, all 85 guys or how many guys were on the sideline? Did everybody just know this is going in without a doubt?
Well, I mean, we got him as close as we could. I mean, I'm not sure how long the kick was. Might have been 20 plus yards of that. And so I'm not sure we got him on the right hash. I think we got him on the right hash to where he could hook it in, if anything. And so, but he had been steady for us all season. Of course, he had his moments during the course of the year, but it really didn't hurt us because we were, ahead in a lot of games. But he came in highly talented as a, kicker from Colorado, and people were questioning whether he could kick it as far because he was, high altitude and all those types of things. We didn't care how far he kicked it. As long as it was straight, between the uprights. And, it was a pressure kick, even though it was a short kick. I mean, it was definitely a pressure kick. And we had confidence that he was going to make it. But then again, all you ask is just for an opportunity or chance to make that happen. And so we had to make plays, as you say. If you're going to win a championship, you got to step and make plays. And Scott did that for us, when it came to making those kicks. But like I said, the whole game, the reason we had 15 points at that time was because he had made some tough kicks to get us, field goals when we should have been scoring touchdowns. And we only scored one touchdown the entire game. And so that's just kudos to our defense. And then special teams, of course, having a hand in that as well. So we put together drives throughout the game to keep it close as far as us getting points. But we had confidence that he was going to make it.
I know in your career you had a lot of crazy moments, a lot of great moments that come to your mind whenever we have these conversations. But is there a play that stands out to you throughout your career that whenever we have these conversations, that's the first play you think of? That's a moment I'll never forget.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just a moment. Now, there was a stretch that made me a better football player or a better person, and that was my junior year when I was struggling. The first 4 games I had like 13 interceptions, which was crazy. But I ended the season with 17 interceptions. So, by the end of the season, I only had 4. And so there was a big turnaround. And, of course, our offense took off after the Georgia Tech game. We did have a slip up. It was raining in Virginia, where we were able to clinch the ACC title. But it was that stretch where, I was struggling. I was inexperienced. That was really my first time getting a chance to play. And so I was making some throws, overthrows, trying to stick some balls in, got some balls tipped. Just a lot of things when you're struggling, they go wrong. And so I just fell into that class, and I just had to fight my way through it. I had a lot of guys who were encouraging me because they knew what I was capable of doing. And I got booed at home against North Carolina my junior year because I threw, another interception. And, it was one of those deals where you just had to continue to fight that inner man. And, from a mental standpoint, you had to stay the course, trust, because, as a quarterback, you have to continue to trust that your work that you put in, you can still get it done. And so, I put a lot of time into it to get to that point. And, coach sat me down a few times to see what was going on. But again, I go back to our defense. As many times those first 4 games, I put them in difficult situations, they found a way to keep us in the game. And so I just say, that was I struggled, but I was able to persevere through that because I had great teammates. I believed in what I was capable of doing. And then again, they gave me an opportunity at the end of games to go out and make things happen. And I was able to do that. And so some of that, sometimes it happens, it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But I'm grateful for that moment because it helped me to understand the importance of being a team, and also stepping up and making plays when your number is called in tough situations.
Charlie, if we could do a fantasy draft of every player that's ever played at Florida State, and you've got the number 1 overall pick, who are you picking?
The number 1 overall pick?
You got the number 1 overall pick, and you pick any player that's ever played at FSU. Who are you taking? Besides Freddie. I know he's on here, so you don't just want to butter him up.
Well, can we say offense and defense?
You can go offense. Let's go offense. It's today's football, so it's all about offense now.
I would, from an offensive standpoint, I would go with, of course, you need a sound quarterback. So I would go with Jameis Winston for, just sound quarterback, guy that you know is going to lead you, on the football field. And the guy today, I wish we had back then, but the guy today is what I'm looking at from a leadership standpoint. But on the field, he was able to get it done at an early age. And I just think he was sound when it came to being that quarterback. Defensively, I would go with Deion Sanders. He's a punt returner. He's a guy that can cover, one side of the field and don't have to worry about everything else. And he's just one of those guys that make plays.
I'm a huge Jameis fan. I'm a huge Knowles fan. I'm a huge Jameis fan, being a little younger. So I like your answer too. But I know a lot of people would pick you. I know a lot of people would say, "I'll take Charlie. Let's run and gun him." So, but I like it for sure. I've got one more, then I'm gonna pass it off and let these guys kind of wrap up. But you played 10 years in the NBA. So understated. How hard it is to do that. You were in the NBA from 94 to finished out in 04-05 with Houston. Earlier this year, we saw the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant. Did you ever? I know that you played point. I think you were in the East. I know there wasn't a ton of crossover there, but did you ever go up against him, or I don't know if you ever guarded him one-on-one, or ever had to switch to him or whatever? But did you ever go up against him, and what was that like? He was starting his career as you were ending yours, but what thoughts on Kobe?
Well, yes, I did get an opportunity to play against him. He was a little bit younger during that time and kind of up and coming, but he was still talented. He was young, and every time he came to the Garden, he kind of torched us. When we played out in LA, he kind of torched us, but he did that to everyone, so I didn't feel too bad. But he was just that guy. I played against Michael Jordan as well, and they were very similar in a lot of ways. Of course, Kobe kind of patterned a lot of things. If you just watch his mannerisms, the way he talked, the way he played, it was very similar to Michael in a lot of ways. And so you kind of got both of those guys in the same line or same way that they played. And he was just a tough guy to guard, regardless of who it was. And you knew what he's capable of doing. And I knew him, but didn't know him like that. So it was a tough loss because sometimes you think those guys are invincible when it comes to life, and it was definitely tragic. We also lost a guy this year that I got an opportunity to play against, Clifford Robinson, another NBA vet that played. That he was a little bit older than I was, but I got an opportunity to play against him. And sometimes we just have to understand that when we're in the moment, it's great that we get an opportunity to compete and do all those types of things. But when it's all said and done, it's about, leaving a legacy. The things that we're doing today, is it making an impact on people's lives? And we get so caught up in a lot of other things. But, when Kobe retired, people were thinking, what is he going to do next? He just wanted to be a dad. And so he became like the voice for girl dads. Even though there are a lot of dads out there that were doing things before with their daughters, but he made it cool in a sense. And so, it was just tough for he and his daughter to be in that plane helicopter crash. And it's just unfortunate, but I do believe that he left an impact on a lot of different people before he left the earth. And that's what I would like to do. Hopefully all of us would like to be in that boat as well. And that's the way we should live our lives. And that's what God wants us to do. Make an impact while we're here, because we don't know how long we're going to be here.
Yeah, and Charlie, just going off that, there's certainly a leader we have on Florida State's campus. We spent a lot of time at Doak Campbell Stadium tonight. Let's go across the complete other side of the campus to the TLC Double C with Leonard Hamilton. I think nobody does as good a job as he does when it comes to just running a quality program, getting in quality character people that are also outstanding athletes. A few years ago, it looks like there were discussions that should we bring him back? Should we not? And I think all of us are extremely happy we did keep Coach Hamilton around. So what was it like seeing that the transformation of the basketball program the past decade or so, even before Coach Hamilton came on, to where it is now, to where he has the #1 recruiting class in the country? And, they just finished top number 4 in the country last year, and they were robbed of a chance at a national title. But Hamilton has got this program at a place, that you have to be proud of as someone who came in the early 90s and was one of those, trailblazers for the Florida State basketball program.
Yes, I'm, very excited for Coach Ham. He's been at Florida State for a long time. And that was one of the things that I was struggling with the football programs, because we had longevity at the head coaching spot. And then all of a sudden we started, switching shoes and clothes and everybody, within a 3 or 4 year span. And it just wasn't Florida State. And now I think we're set there. But Coach Ham has been steady. He's stuck with his, what he's wanted to do. He's brought in different types of guys who've, been around for 4 years. Guys who've been around for 2 years, some one and dones, and so he's had he's built that type of program, and he plays a lot of guys, which is different. He's 11 deep for the most part, and guys understand that. He very rarely has a guy on his team that averages more than maybe 16 points a game. Because a lot of times they only play so much, because he wants you to play every possession with great effort. And if you're doing that, then it's hard to play a lot of minutes. But I know that. And so I just think, people respect him for who he is. He's an older gentleman. He's been around. He's seen a lot. And he'll let you know that it's not just him, it's his assistants as well. He's had stability. When we talk about longevity, success, when you have stability in your coaching staff, it helps tremendously. And so Stan Jones, C.Y. Young, and now Coach Steve Smith, those guys, Steve is relatively new. He came in last year, but C.Y. I think has been there more than 7, 8 years. Stan Jones, I think he's been there the duration. And so when you have that type of stability, you're able to build a program like he's been able to do over a 10-year period or so, and have great success because of just the stability of the coaches, and then the system hasn't changed either. And so, of course, it's grown, but they've now gotten to a point where they're fitting guys into their system that they want to run. And it's been very successful. And now guys know that they can come here and go to the league if they want to do the one and done, or they can come here and learn how to play team basketball. You know, that's the whole mentality. You know, he's thinking about the team, being unselfish. You know, those are the type of guys. And then a lot of times he was taking guys who weren't highly recruited. I'm going to say highly recruited. They were like three stars or 4 stars, and people really didn't know who they were, and then making them into household names as they progressed over the time. And so I just think he's amazing. You know, he's an outstanding guy. He's real. And I think that helps him out as well, because he'll let you know if something ain't right, and he doesn't mind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I believe he's signed at least 1 5-star each of the last 5 years, with the exception of 1 year. And I love this. I think it was a Stan Jones quote. I was listening to an interview, and he was asked about that. Said, only 1 year you've not signed a 5-star in the past 5 years. And he said, well, you guys had that wrong, because we signed a guy named Devin Massell, and we knew how good he was. So it's awesome seeing Coach Hamilton that even with these 5-star recruits, you know, if you follow the basketball recruiting, all these guys say Florida State was one of the first teams on them. He identifies these kids at a young age, and the culture he's built. You mentioned it. You know, if someone averages 16 points, that's a lot. I think back to 2017 when we had Jonathan Isaac, who's now with the Orlando Magic, and there'd be games where he'd score 4 or 5 points, but you look at the bench and he is the most excited player on the bench for everybody that's going nuts when anybody scores. And that's Florida State basketball for me, who I've been a huge Florida State fan, football and basketball. And it's been so fun to watch, because I think the players are so likable. And that's a testament of what Coach Hamilton has done with his program. It's just truly joyous to watch the team. So it's been great to hear your thoughts on that as well, Charlie.
My pleasure, but I do enjoy watching them play
Yes.
because they play defense. They get after people, and offensively they pass it, they share it. Of course, you need guys to put it in the basket, but they don't mind. You know, they understand and know how to play. Of course, they've been coached that way, but they definitely understand and know how to play. And I just enjoy watching them, you know, execute.
Awesome. Well, sorry, I'm not very good with this mute button, but Charlie, I appreciate you a ton for hanging out. We asked you as before, but you've got a new podcast, new show coming to the airwaves. Told me before, with Lloyd Spence Jr., called Believe in the ACC, covering the ACC. You tell us a little bit about that. I know it's coming up here quickly before the season. Shout out your info here.
Believe in the ACC with Lloyd Spence Jr. That'll be coming relatively soon. Not sure when we're going to start, but hopefully before the season, which starts, I think most teams are playing September 12th. But looking forward to chopping it up, talking about the ACC, and of course the Seminoles. That would be a big topic. But that's something that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. You can follow Charlie on Twitter at RealCharlieWard. Man, we appreciate your time so much, man. I know that we've gotten a ton of comments here as we've been on here. Folks really appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us about the 2020 Noles, the 1993 Noles, your time in the NBA, Hamilton, the different things we talked about. So thank you so much, man. We'll have to do it again sometime.
I want to just say I respect your journey as far as being vegan, because I tried it for about 4 days. And it worked out well for me. You see, I'm on my fitness journey now. I lost a lot of weight, but yeah, I respect you being on that vegan journey. No doubt, it has you feeling good. But yeah, I like shrimp and chicken, man. But it's definitely a challenge, but you feel good doing it.
Well, I had to change my ways of thinking because I had a stroke. That was like almost 3 years ago now, but I had a stroke, and so when I went to my cardiologist, one of them, he made me do a raw vegetable, a raw diet. And so it was all fruits and vegetables and nuts that I had to eat for like 4 weeks. And then he changed me over to, just a plant-based diet. So it was challenging at the beginning, but now I found ways to, to eat and eat well. But of course, exercising does help, with that whole plan. And so I just had to make some changes, just like we all have to do when we're faced with adversity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No doubt. Those for guys that aren't vegans, don't know about the vegan food, the Beyond Meat patties.
Yes.
Super good. I'm telling you, like it got me through. Once I ran out of those, that's why I broke my diet.
Yeah, I just made some black bean patties with the Beyond Meat burger meat. So they weren't bad.
We gotta get you a segment on here, vegan cooking with Charlie Ward.
Plant-based.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good stuff, man. We appreciate your time again. And again, best of luck with your podcast and go Noles, bud.
Go Noles.
Appreciate it, Charlie.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
See you, buddy. Whew, these are getting tougher and tougher to top every week, boys, but that's a fun one. Charlie came on the roll-up a few years ago, but it's way more fun when it's just all Noel stuff. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, man, a huge Charlie Ward fan. Growing up in the early 90s watching Florida State, he's one of the OGs, and and obviously, you don't need me to tell you this, a perfect representation and someone who you want representing your program, who's still involved with these kids. He takes interest in every single freshman athlete that steps on Florida State's campus, man. And he's just a true down-to-earth good guy who loves Florida State University. So can't think of a better guy for this podcast.
Yeah, I had opportunity to meet him a few years ago when I was at the Senior Bowl. They brought me on to do a podcast with him, and I was just taken away by his personality and just down-to-earth guy. And okay, we just kind of clicked, and we've been in touch ever since. But yeah, great guy, loves his nose, and is always trying to do things in the community and make this world a better place. So much respect on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Charlie left, and we just had a whole bunch of people jump out of the stream, which I understand. But for the folks that are still here, we've got some exciting stuff. Before we jump into it, do me a favor, man. We just had so many people's favorite Noel on here. Do me a favor and share this wherever you're watching it. If you're listening tomorrow morning or Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whenever, retweet out that you were watching the show, or tweet out that you were listening to the show on iTunes or wherever. But if you're on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube right now, share it, give it a like the page, follow the page, and help us out with that. Comment, tag somebody that would like to hear a 45, 50, 55-minute uninterrupted interview with FSU's first Heisman winner, because I think that doesn't happen too often on these internet airwaves. I've got some commercial type stuff to go into, and then we'll get to the end of the show, going a little bit long, but we'll go long when you have an FSU goat on anytime. So I've got some commercial stuff, so y'all buckle up on this. First thing is, a lot of people have asked about these shirts. We've got these shirts. I'm wearing one now. Let me move this. These shirts are available on the best way for you to find them. If you message me or you message the show, like I'll send you the link. The easiest way to find it is to go to our Instagram, and it's the link in our Instagram bio, right? So go to Instagram. It's just Double Fries Pod. You'll see it there. Click on that, and you can get a t-shirt. any color you want. There's a bunch of different colors and sizes. They're pretty good quality. You guys have them. My kid wore it to a birthday party the other day, which my wife was thrilled with that. So double fries, no slaw t-shirts. And then this is the big one. This is something that we spent all weekend. I blew these guys up with this information, and we are going to launch a Patreon. Those of you that are familiar with different sites, different podcasts that have these, different FSU podcasts have these. Big Three Roll Up has one. And we really spent all weekend kind of collaborating. These guys, Richie and Freddie helped me out. My buddy Brian and who helps us with some graphics, and Ed Kennedy as well. We kind of worked on this all weekend, and we really want to do some cool stuff for you guys. So we've got 4 different tiers that we're going to be working through, 4 different contribution levels. I'm not going to read out every single benefit, but every benefit has at least 5. Every tier has at least 5 benefits. The largest tier has like 12, and the more you contribute, the more you get, right? So pretty straightforward there. Everybody gets something though. So we are going to be doing a couple of cool things that everybody will kind of get access to. One thing that we're going to do that everybody gets access to, it's our snack size tier. So the tiers are snack size, box, bucket, and family style. Obviously after Guthrie's, we're going to be hanging out in a Discord server. I know a lot of you guys are familiar with that from the Big Three Roll-Ups, from some other ones that go around the FSU community. We're going to be hanging out in there during game days, and everybody, no matter your contribution level, will get access to that. We're also going to do a couple of extra shows per week. Some of those we've talked about could be live reaction shows. They could be preview shows. They could be, Richie and I were on the phone. They could be a 10-minute halftime show where we take a couple of guest questions and stuff like during the FSU games and stuff. So stay tuned there. Not everybody actually gets access to that. That's on the higher 3 tiers. We've got some pretty cool exclusive giveaways, some access to come on the show based on a contribution level, some personalized gear. Freddie's going to be signing some copies of his book and sending those out at no charge. Little tangible things like this, like these stickers that I'm supposed to mail out to people, and that's going out this week. Koozies, just all kind of stuff. So if you go to patreon.com/doublefriespod, or just search patreon.com for Double Fries No Slaw, you'll see all the info there. The other 2 cool things that I think we're doing with it, again, I know this is kind of getting long, but we're doing a weekly pick'em. There's no cost for that, but there will be rewards. And then we're also doing a score prediction contest where if you pick the score of the FSU game correctly, we will send you some kind of swag, t-shirt, hoodie. I'll let you pick whatever you want at that point. So going to be doing some cool things with different fans. Appreciate you guys' support. Nobody's required to do anything. This show is and will always be free. But if you want something extra, if you want to kind of show your support, help us grow, we want to take care of you. We want it to be worth your while. We want you to enjoy the extra things that you're going to get. And so go check it out, sign up for it. That'll go live tonight or in the morning. If you have any questions on it, you can shoot me a message, TJ_Pittenger on Twitter, or you can message the show on any platform that it's on. I think it's going to be fun, guys. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I think the best tier is the box. Of course, it just goes with the name, Double Fries No Slaw. The snack really isn't a ton, and then the family style is a lot. But that box level is really good. We're going to be able to do some really cool stuff in there, and I think people will enjoy it. So that's all I got on that. Sorry again for the long commercial. One more thing before we get going. I see. Freddie's chatting with him too. Antonor Winston in the chat. Thanks for hanging out today, man. I'll give you a shout out in the comments, but I'm gonna give you one here on the real show as well. So we've got just legends all over the place. So appreciate you for hanging out with us tonight, bro. But yeah, go check out the Patreon. See if you like something there. If you don't, just keep listening to us on this one. That'll be fine. So somebody else say something because I need to shut up and take a drink.
I think you hit it all, man. I'm not going to bore anybody else with any more details. But yeah, we'll have more to come. Definitely looking to get creative and find ways to expand what we do and the content we bring. And I'm definitely excited about what we have for the season. And again, 13 days away, 20 days until we play Miami. So now's a great time to jump on board.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. Y'all got to tap in. I'm telling you, it's gonna be well worth it. Like I said, we're gonna keep hitting you guys with different heat throughout the year. So y'all make sure y'all tap in.
Yeah, and we'll toy around with it a little bit Georgia Tech week in the first few weeks, and a lot of it's going to be based on the feedback for you guys. If we talked about, potentially a pregame show, like, just a few minutes similar to what Game Day's doing, but just Florida State focused. Halftime, instant reaction. We'll find different things. So we're excited about that. With that, we ready to get into Florida State's week in review here, guys?
Sure.
I'm with it, man. Take us away.
Yeah, so it sounds like yesterday a lot of people were expecting a third and final scrimmage for Florida State. They ended up just holding a regular practice. This whole week, the constant theme from Coach Norvell has been physicality. After every practice, he said he really liked how physical things were, and he's really pushing and challenging these guys. He's not taking it lightly now that we're 2 weeks out. So I think that's definitely something to be excited about, that he's bringing the intensity level up, and it's really picking up. So with that said, guys, again, we're 13 days from Georgia Tech. I saw the early line. It looks like Florida State's favored by 11.5. But, the line aside, it seems like Florida State has a lot to be confident about. But again, I think the three of us were all really confident heading into that Virginia Tech game 2 years ago, and we know how that turned out. So not to bring back negative memories, but where do you guys feel right now? Camp is officially over, and here we are. Georgia Tech's on the horizon. When the team, they have Monday off. When they hit the field Tuesday, they're prepping for Georgia Tech. Where do you guys think we are based on what you've heard from camp so far?
I was feeling good until you brought up that Virginia Tech game, bro, and brought back all the PTSD at one time. I feel good, man. I mean, Vegas doesn't miss often, right? And to be an 11.5-point favorite, I don't care if we cover or not, right? Nope. At this point, I'm not into that. I don't bet on my team. I did in 2013. I bet on y'all a lot in 2013 and 14, Freddie, but I don't bet on my team anymore. So I feel good. I mean, I feel good about it, right? Like that is Vegas, and you could look at the ESPN, FPI, and stuff like that. That is those outlets telling you it is a big, big problem if Florida State loses, right? Massive issue of Florida. If you're a 2-point favorite, you lose. No, not a no big deal, but this would be a massive loss. And so there's a massive talent gap. Georgia Tech is by far the worst team in the conference. I like getting them at home. The schedule that week is terrible. The Big 12 doesn't play anybody good. Like, they all kind of play out of conference nobodies. A lot of the ACC plays kind of cupcake games. Like, Miami plays UAB on that Thursday night. There are not a lot of really good matchups. Actually, there are no really good matchups. And if you look at the spreads for that week one, we may have the closest spread of the relevant games. And so I think there's a good chance that's a night game. Just based on the other games that are happening, I'd be shocked if it was anything earlier than 3:30. So it's at least going to be an afternoon, potentially night game. And I think that bodes well for Florida State as well. Limited crowd size, obviously. But yeah, I feel good about it. I mean, I feel good with the reports coming out of camp. I think that, things have been pretty positive there. And so, I mean, I'm ready for week one. So I'm ready for Freddie to strap up the pads, man. I'm not getting out there, but I'm ready for Freddie to go play.
Yeah, we've been hearing about this defense all off season. We got a lot of guys coming back. I think we got a lot of depth at every position. We finally got some depth at linebacker. So that's a big plus. I'm excited about that. I think our defense is going to be a big key this season. They're going to carry us in a lot of big time games. But yeah, and I'm just excited to see Norvell in action. We hear from everybody that's come on about how he's an offensive guru. So I'm gonna be excited to see what he does with the offense this year.
Yeah, and it sounds like one position that a lot of us had our eyes on heading into camp We finally have some clarity, it looks like, and not for always the reasons we wanted, but let's go to the quarterback room real quick, because it sounds like, barring anything extremely unexpected, James Blackman's going to be our guy week 1 against Georgia Tech. Obviously, Chubba Purdy, he's out. We covered that last week. He broke his collarbone in the scrimmage. Jordan Travis, the coaching staff's been a little vague on him. It sounds like he's going through some but I don't know if it's injury or what it is, but he hasn't been completely right to be a full participant. He hasn't participated in either scrimmage, which means true freshman Tate Rodemaker, it looks like he's kind of established himself as the number 2 quarterback should something happen to Blackman. But again, like TJ mentioned, Georgia Tech, it really is the perfect game because it's not, some FCS school that you just don't know. You could score 70 points and still not be any good. Georgia Tech is a team that at least it's a conference game to where it gives you something to look at to say, okay, we have a baseline to where if Heath goes out and throws 3 picks, that's a problem. But also if he looks really good and has 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, that's something to get excited about because it is at least a conference team. So what's your thoughts on the quarterback room, Freddie? Again, it seems like Blackman's the guy. So I know people were split on him, but as a fan base, we kind of got to rally around him at this point because he's going to be our best chance to win.
Yeah, I knew going into the season that Blackman would start us off heading into the year. Just too much experience there. Even with a new offense, he has too much game experience. And I knew that going in, he would be our guy to kind of weather that storm going forward. But as we head through the season, I think it'll be big to get Jordan Travis involved to have that running dimension added to the offense. Because last year that kind of spiced things up a little bit. I don't know what the situation is with him, but that'll be a great dimension to add to our offense.
Yeah, you got to think there's going to be some packages for him just because his athletic ability alone, his measurables may not be the sexiest as far as I don't think he's out there running a 4.2, but if you watch him with a football in his hands, that's a football player. He knows how to make plays happen. And, it's a shame it took so long to see him last year because as soon as he got his chance, man, he made the most of it. TJ, what are you thinking about that quarterback room right now?
I mean, I like Blackman just because I like the reports coming out, and obviously reports are only as so good as what we see in 2 weeks, right? Reports always sound good coming out of camp because you're not playing anybody. You're a lot of times you're on air, and so anyway, the reports are always good, right? Nobody's going to come out in there and say, "Man, my quarterbacks look like dog crap right now." Like we are just terrible. So, they're only as good. But I like the chance for Blackman to be in a new system. He came out and played as a true freshman, not an early enrollee when Francois went down. After that Alabama game, didn't see the field much last year. Much the year. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Didn't see the field much with Taggart. His first year got thrown all around. Last year, going back and forth, didn't get competent coaching there. And so I'm all in on Blackman, to see what he can do. But I like the idea of being able to switch it up, whether that's with the running of Travis, whether that's with I doubt that Purdy sees much significant time coming off the injury, but, and missing the reps here early. But, yeah, I mean, I'm all in on Blackman, and hoping that he gets the best coaching that he's gotten, while at Florida State. And Jimbo's a great quarterback coach. That's no slight to him. But, Blackman got thrown in the middle of a mess, so I'm excited to see, kind of what he can do, again, under somebody competent.
In the chat, we have mentioning Patrick asking, is Blackman the equivalent of Brady White, the Memphis quarterback? I'll say this. I watched a couple Memphis games last year, especially that conference championship game. Brady White, I think his success last year is a testament of Norvell because when you watch him play, he's not a great athlete. He doesn't have a big arm. I mean, Blackman's got a cannon on the deep ball. So I think it's all with Blackman. It's going to come down to, what's in between the ears. It's all about, mentality. Can he throw an interception and take a big hit and brush it off and come back the next drive and hit a guy coming across the middle? Because that's been his problem in his career. Again, TJ, you mentioned he was thrown into an impossible situation. He never should have saw the field as a true freshman. Instead, he comes out against Alabama, 150 pounds, but obviously he didn't make a pass in that game. But yeah, he's been put in just bad situation after bad situation, and maybe Mike Norvell's the guy that can get it done for him. So we'll see. Other news offensively, some news in the receiver room. It looks like Keyshawn Hilton, he's officially out of the non-contact jersey, which is a mini miracle, because when he went down last year, the initial diagnosis, the team doctors didn't think he'd be full speed until October of this year, maybe. And we all know he's been busting his ass on rehab. Him and Jaden Lars Woodby both had leg injuries. We've heard all offseason how Keyshawn's been, making sure his rehab has been as efficient as possible, and it sounds like it. And then another change in the receiver room, Isaiah Bolden is moving from defensive back to wide receiver. This comes as DJ Matthews is still not back with the team. I don't know if it's still protocol with COVID-19 or what's going on there, but I do know Ron Dugans was asked specifically about Warren Thompson and DJ Matthews, and he commented on Warren Thompson but did not mention Matthews. So we're not sure what's going on there. But what do you guys think about bringing Bolden over just to try and get some extra talent? It's a big guy. He's returned kicks. He's got ball skills. So I think he's a good guy to add to the room because defensive back, we're stacked there. He may not have seen the field. So some switch ups going on there. Freddie, what are you thinking about the receiver room real quick and Isaiah Bolden switch to that side of the ball?
Yeah, like you said, that DB room is stacked. I don't know if he would have got an opportunity to play that much this year, so it's an opportunity. He's an athlete. Like you said, we've seen him return the ball. He can do some things with the ball in his hand, so he has a great opportunity ahead of him. If he takes advantage of it, we'll see. But he has all the tools to be successful if he can learn the playbook.
Yeah, you can never have too many weapons, right? You look at we're all Bucs fans, right? The Bucs had some of the best weapons in the NFL last year at the wide receiver position, and then they all got hurt, right? Jameis played the last four games of the season without Evans or Godwin. OJ Howard had his head up his butt so far that I don't even think you can count him being on the field. And so, yeah, you'll take all the weapons you can get, with guys coming back off injuries, guys, making somewhat questionable decisions off the field, like when your DB room is stacked and you kind of need, like I said, you just can't have too many weapons. And so I'm all for seeing what he can do. I don't know how much I expect there, not necessarily in a terribly negative way. I just think that, it's going to be the, Terry Helton show, but we'll kind of see, if he's able to contribute at least a little bit. I mean, I'd still love to see, Thompson and Matthews on the field. They have a lot of talent. So I know that people get frustrated with them and they've done some things that, don't make us all happy, and they're still both really talented. And so I'd like to see both of them on the field if everybody could keep their head on straight. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. And then just one quick note, a name that popped up a lot this week that we had been hearing throughout camp, but could be emerging, a true freshman running back, Lawrence Toafili. Mike Norvell kind of mentioned his name several times and about making big plays. So we expect Ja'Shawn Corbin to kind of be the first guy getting the carries and then running back by committee. But I thought it was interesting to hear him. So just something to keep an eye on. Defensively, Freddie and I have really been beating this drum about how good we think this defense can be. I think TJ's getting on board with us too. But we won't go too much into the defense. But one thing I saw that was pretty cool, and I think you both commented on it that I noticed. You guys see Mike Norvell bringing his this Break the Rock tradition to Tallahassee?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I mean, I did some research on, hey, where did that come from? But I mean, it's cool. The guys seemed excited about it. That's the biggest thing. Guys buy in, and I'm all with it.
There's another rock that I'd like to smash. Maybe not literally, but figuratively. I'd like to see the players sending out tweets of Clemson Memorial Stadium like Jameis did that said "Our House." So that's I like the tradition. I think props are good if they're used correctly. Like I think Miami's turnover chain was fantastic the first year that they had it. You saw every program in the country try to do something to mimic that or do something cool like that. And so I think this is cool. I think this is something that is good if the players buy in and it's not. I mean, all props are a little corny, right? But if the players buy in and it's something that unifies the team, then I'm all for it. But again, there's another rock that I'm not predicting we do it this year or next year or anything like that, but there's another rock that I'm interested in smashing in Clemson, South Carolina. So That's my
Yeah.
take.
And I think, this is more than a prop, though. It's not something they're just going to see a turnover on the sidelines and go out there. So terrible radio here. I kind of just went into it without explaining what it is. But if you were on social media at all, you probably saw a video of Mike Norvell talking about it. Then you see Joshua Kando, who, again, had, by all accounts, a phenomenal camp. So what this rock is, it's a, think of Florida State sod cemetery, the little tombstones that's in there. All the players sign it at the start of preseason camp, and it's kind of their commitment to each other that, hey, I'm here by your side every single day. And they know from day one that, hey, at the end of camp, we're going to pick someone that's really showing and lived our values on and off the field, who's really pushed his brothers to be, something better. And this for fall camp, it was Josh Kando, and he's someone who we said from episode 1 when talking about the defense, they just got to get after the quarterback. So they needed somebody at defensive end to step up. And it sounds like Kando's really being that person. And, he's a name. It doesn't really scare you because it's not like an unknown guy coming out of nowhere. This is this guy that was, I think it was a top 5 recruit nationally, regardless of position, coming out of high school his senior year. So if he steps up and lives up to that potential this year, I mean, that defense, again, we keep gushing over it, and I hope they don't make us look like idiots here. But I feel really good about that because, man, Kando coming off the edge, that looks exciting. So, Freddie, what are your thoughts on Kando? And then just, again, something that brings the team together, something that they've desperately needed and does seem meaningful that the team is kind of rallying around it.
I'm just happy to see him finally putting everything together. I mean, last year he showed some glimpses before the injury, but bouncing back from that injury and coming back strong. Much respect to him on that. Much respect to Keyshawn from bouncing back from his injury. But Kando's a guy that has all the tools, can bend, has size, is physical, has a motor, and he's showing that he's a natural leader. So going forward, we need guys like that. And him coming back this year, hungry, we're going to need him to step up and lead this team. And I think if he can stay consistent and do the things that he obviously has done in fall camp, then we have some good things to look forward to in the future.
The defensive line is definitely one of the strengths of this team, probably the strength of this team. And everybody thinks about Marvin Wilson, rightfully so. One of the absolute best defensive linemen in the country. But I'm telling you, if Marvin Wilson can be elite, which he will, and Kando can also be very above average to elite, somewhere between there. It's I try not to throw around the elite tag for just anybody, but if Kando can be very, very above average to elite, somewhere in that range, or if he can even be elite, a defensive line is going to be really, really nasty. And Florida State has all the talent in the world, down a little bit from obviously Freddie's years, but has more talent than I'd say 7 to 8 of the teams they'll play this year. And Kando's just another big piece of that if he can show up and dominate the way he should be able to, the defensive line could really, really be special.
Yeah, man. And the last bit of Florida State news here for this week, again, hopefully next week we'll have a kickoff time. We'll have a depth chart to look at or have a much better idea. But the last bit, we'll end on a feel-good story here. Florida State is now at their max 85 scholarships for the season. 2 guys, Wyatt Rector, Deante Sheffield, both awarded scholarships at the conclusion of fall camp here. Rector, the transfer from Western Kentucky, he came in as a quarterback and ended up, saw he wasn't going to play there, but there was a need at tight end and said, yeah, let's do it. And one of the hardest workers on the team by all accounts. And then Deante Sheffield, this one I was really happy about. He's someone who, Jimbo brought in as a preferred walk-on and promised him a scholarship. Obviously, Jimbo leaves, so that's not up to Willie Taggart to fulfill that promise left by Jimbo, nor, again, that's not on Taggart. He didn't make the promise, and it sounded like, Sheffield just stuck with the program and kept fighting it out. He was our starting running back in the Sun Bowl and actually played really well and gets his scholarship. So what did you guys think when you saw those two? Again, you love seeing walk-ons get it, but especially guys like Deante and Wyatt that deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, it was major. Deante, he had opportunity to play in the Sun Bowl, show some of the things they can do, and then Wyatt, guys like that, that are selfless for a team. You'll have some guys that are walk-ons that can make plays, probably go to another school and get put on scholarship and contribute a lot to that team. But they're here, they're being selfless, they're doing everything they can to help this team be successful, and you don't hear a peep out of them. They're not complaining. All they want to do is be a part of something great. So I love to see these guys get rewarded.
Yeah, my thoughts are exactly the same on that. Freddie, who got it when you were there? Or just were there some cool ones, or did Jimbo ever do anything kind of in a cool way? You see like the viral videos sometimes, but not that you have to give like all 8 of them out from your time there, but like anybody would remember.
I think Javian Elliott, he was a guy that was
That's
major.
a cool one, yeah.
Yeah, we saw early on. We thought he should have got his a year before, but he finally got it, and he's still in the league going strong. So lets you know some of the guys we got on walk-ons at Florida State. They can play ball.
Yeah. Javian Elliott's one of the coolest stories to come out of Florida State like ever, to go for a walk-on and then be playing in the NFL and come to our Bucks. And so, yeah, super cool.
Yeah, and I like the way Mike Norvell did it. He had the position coaches call them and say, hey, you need to go see Coach Norvell. To the point where both guys said they thought they were in trouble at the time. But you see, I love the videos too. When you see a guy that works hard and the video goes viral, the team social media puts it out, and it's everybody, circles up around the walk-on that gets the scholarship. They're all jumping up and down. Really cool videos. But one thing, I forget where he said it, but Norvell made a comment to where, he said something along the lines, we have a bunch of walk-ons and every single one is just as important as the next one. So we didn't want to single these guys out in front of everybody, making the other walk-ons feel like they're any less important, because we're going to need them too to win these games. So, everything he said, he lives it out through his actions, speaking of Coach Norvell. So I'm excited about having him lead the program. And again, this week we get our first week of game prep. And then when we meet next, unless we have a pop-up show, we're going to be 6 days from kickoff, guys.
I'm ready, man. Hey, y'all remember the video ESPN posted a few weeks ago? Hey, getting closer to that time. Payback.
I don't know how official this is or not, but Logan Robinson of No Game Day just tweeted a picture of his TV guide that has Georgia Tech at Florida State Saturday 9/12 at 12 o'clock noon. I'm hoping that's not official. Haven't seen it released anywhere. A lot of times the beat writers get that stuff first, but I know that what they've been waiting on is for the TV deals to finish up kind of in this weird year. So it doesn't shock me too much that a TV channel may release that. It also wouldn't shock me if, DirecTV or Dish or whoever he has just totally screwed that up. But I don't know if that's really breaking news because it's not really news, but think on that. And hopefully by then, I said, unless there's a pop-up show, we'll know next Sunday what's going on.
I'd be surprised if that's a game. I'd be surprised if that's
the slate is terrible. And unless they just want to kind of get Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, all in a row, but not have those big 3 competing against each other, which I guess I could kind of reason that out and understand that. That still just really sucks if that's the case. At noon, I think Georgia Tech and Florida State's it's not even a good game, but it's probably one of the best games on the week. So again, I just hope that is incorrect. All that said, man, I think I'm good today. I'm gonna give a couple more plugs. My buddy Mike just signed up to be our first Patreon, so sign up at the $10 level. We will probably do something special for the first, let's say, 20 people that sign up. So we're up to 1. You got 19 to go. You'll get everything that's in the different tiers. Again, the Patreon just went live. It is patreon.com, patreon.com/Double Fries Pod. Check it out. Check out the tiers. See what looks good. See what doesn't look good. Think it'll be fun. Again, if you've been to Guthrie's recently and you've been messaging me about a sticker, that is going out this week. I waited until I had about 10 of them, so I wasn't making 10 trips to the post office to send a 3x3 sticker. So now that I have 10 done, I don't have to make so many trips. So those will go out this week. Remember to follow us on all social medias, if you will. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter are the big ones. We're also on Twitch and YouTube. It's all just Double Fries No Slaw or Double Fries Pod on some of those other ones. And yeah, tag a friend in this. Go get a t-shirt. Sign up for Patreon. I think I'm out of plugs. Retweet this when it comes out. We had an FSU Absolute Legend on this. Retweet it. Share it on your Facebook. Tag a couple friends in it. And let's grow together. We're not slowing down. Season's starting soon. The shows will kind of change up a little bit because we'll kind of get into more game talk. But we're going to keep having FSU goats on this show. We got 3 FSU goats on it every week. So 2 GOAT fans and a GOAT fullback. But we're going to keep it going. So that's all I got for this week.
Appreciate y'all tuning in each and every week, showing love, man. Like you said, go share this. Share it in a whole bunch of groups. Share it with your auntie, your cousin, great auntie, all them. Yeah, and some more. We want everybody to see it. Y'all keep liking the Facebook page, too. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and keep showing love. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, nothing to add. Appreciate all of you who are listening and sharing the content. We enjoy doing it. So you guys enjoying listening to us, that's awesome. Thank you all. We do appreciate it.
Good stuff. I picked the song last week, I believe. So Freddie, Richie. Oh wait, no. Maybe Freddie did. Freddie picked the song. It was a throwback, something I wasn't expecting. But Richie, your song this week.
Oh man, let's see here. So some came on the radio earlier, and it was a new artist singing an old song. I did not like the remake, but I'm a big fan of the original. So let's go TJ's lane a little bit. 13 days.
All right, very good.
13 days till Florida State football. It's a great day. Let's play some Travis Tritt. Great day to be alive.
All right, we'll do it. We'll see you guys next week, man. Thanks for hanging out.